Good evening. Let's start with a couple of minutes of silence together to open consciousness so that we can receive the message tonight. Welcome to the first of I Am That. The Miracle Self is celebrating its 5th birthday mid-January. And one thing it has never done is stand still. It's never repeated a message. And so what's happened, and I had no idea, and none of us probably had any idea, what's happened is that we have had quite a roller coaster of continually deepening, newer, fresher, clearer message. And it's done wonderful things for so many of us, including me. And over the last 4 months, or nearly 5 months now, we experienced what is turning out to be as the single largest shift in new awareness, made possible only because of the messages we've been hearing up until that time. And so without needing to give any detail, that shift or that rise in consciousness led to first of all the Tampa retreat in November, and then the Basking Ridge retreat in November, which was a phenomenal experience, phenomenal clarity. And I didn't know it at the time, but within a few days of finishing Basking Ridge, I realized that that's the end of the Miracle Self message as we've known it, in that there's nothing more to be said about the studying of truth, the learning of truth, the knowing of truth. Know the truth and the truth will set you free. All of that has been said and was finished in Basking Ridge with such beautiful clarity and simplicity certainly, but depth that is so very beautiful. And so there we go. I realized, or what I realized then may be that the teaching's completely over. It isn't, but I thought it might be, because we definitely do not want to repeat. Within the next 4 weeks, amazing transformation took place, lifting took place, and a logjam cleared that has revealed a new level of consciousness which is now so very palpably free for everyone who can now bathe in what we're going to hear tonight. It is free. Wherever I look in consciousness now, there is just light. There are no dark areas whatsoever. And of course, that includes you. You are one with me and I with you. And so as I look out into consciousness, there you are. And no matter what you think of yourself, the truth is you are free. And you're palpably free now. And so our state of being is now getting up and walking free, without fear, without hindrance, without concern, without having to put truth into the mind anymore. Get up and walk free and fearless. Do you see, if we're not very careful as a teaching, if any teaching is not very careful, it makes a career out of itself. And we keep on hearing the same and the same and the same. And yeah, we can reword it, I'm sure. We can make it interesting, I'm sure. But you see, there's one purpose in any truthful teaching, and that is to free everyone of the teaching. Simple, there it is. And the only way we are now free is in being able to get up and walk free. And how is that? That is learning or understanding how to be truth. We must stop learning about truth, and we must now understand with more clarity than ever has been given us before how to be the infinite being that we all are. You see, we know this in theory. I am the infinity of being. The whole of God is fully embodied in and as my consciousness. Yep, I know it. Intellectually I know it. But then what do I do when I walk out the front door? What do I do when I go to work? What do I do when a problem seems to face me? What do I do when a pain appears in the body? What do I do with relationship difficulty, home difficulty, finance? What do I do? I sink right back into the mind and try and understand more truth to solve it. And where's that got us? Nowhere. So you see, even if we don't know it, we do know enough truth. Now, I think we heard in one of the final meditations on IOB that we must never, and I'm talking to every single one of us. There is no one that is excluded from this truth, and that is that we must never think that we do not have the capacity here and now to walk in the freedom of truth, which means to witness the truth of everywhere we are, every conditional situation we face. We must never do that. If we are doing that, then we're still believing a personal sense that has to somehow try to get truth to work for us. But you see, only truth is. We know that, and now we can forget about trying to have to remember it and let it reveal itself as you, as me. And so here we go. Let's start right away. Each week we're going to hear something very practical to do so that we can go out and be truth. Truth learning is a waste of time. I shouldn't say that. Truth learning is very lovely and always beneficial. However, if we do not get to the point of being truth, then we are a full-time student, and the teaching that teaches these full-time students is a full-time teaching, and therefore both teacher and teaching and student are not being true. The only truth about teacher, teaching, student is to get to the place as quickly as we can of being truth so that we no longer need the teacher nor the teaching. That's the only truthful teaching, no matter what we're teaching. Actually, the piano teacher, surely, if he or she is truthful, has one goal, and that's to get rid of the student. See the student on stage performing to tens of thousands of people. That's it. Or the family. Doesn't make any difference what the goal is, but the aim is get rid of the student, because the student has risen to that point of being competent, even a maestro at his or her art. And so we must now be the maestros of truthful being. And what's best about this over piano playing is that we don't do the playing. We're not responsible. Only God is. And therefore we must now let God, or let Spirit, let truth, let consciousness, whatever synonym we wish to use, be itself, as you, as me, now. And we can be now because only truth is, and the fullness of truth is now. If you're not seeing it, or I'm not seeing it, or we're not seeing it in its fullness, it's because we are blocking it. But it is fully here now, with nothing it can withhold, nothing more it can give, fully embodied as the fulfillment of your consciousness. So as you look out of your consciousness, the first thing to realize is that actually, despite what you may see through the filter of your conditioned mind, actually what you're looking at, the whole of your consciousness, is a fully populated, God-fulfilled environment, world, experience. Right now, it doesn't matter how your body is performing, what it feels like, if it's in pain or aches, or it's feeling old or decrepit or young and energetic, it makes no difference. What's actually there is the one body that is the fullness of God body, despite the way the mind may be picking it up as a sense. And when we stop that mind, when we rest it, let it go, and let God reveal itself, God be the sensed body, then by the degree we can achieve that, there is the experienced body, because only that body is. No other sense of body is an entity. It's not truth. It's not real. It's not actually happening. Only God is happening, here and now. When you look out at your loved one, then realize only God, love itself, fully embodied, is your loved one. Never mind what the mind reports. Only God itself is your loved one. And then you watch how quickly the mind will be able to report nothing but love, nothing but beauty and joy and freedom and fulfillment in love. But if we let the mind convince us that there's a personal love right there, then we're in trouble. Then we can't see the fullness of love that actually is there this very minute. When we look at our finances, don't believe what the mind suggests. The fullness of infinity is there. Because the fullness of infinity is the only presence. There cannot be any other presence than the only, which is God, Spirit, Truth. And God, Spirit, Truth, is infinity, never a portion of infinity. You cannot divide infinity. You cannot divide peace, harmony, joy, oneness. And so wherever you look, no matter what form it appears to be, there is the fullness of God already established, already fulfilled. And through a thoughtless mind, a mind that doesn't judge, doesn't have opinion, will not accept what the thought is suggesting, we have an avenue of the mind which is able to witness God in all its fulfilled state as every fulfilling he, she, it activity, place, condition of our experience. Now, the first thing to do is to realize that literally the whole of God is embodied in and as your consciousness. The whole of God. Now think, if that's true, and it is, then there's nothing else other than your consciousness. Nothing else. The whole of God, the whole of everything, the whole of infinity, eternality, is embodied, and we can even leave the word embodied out. The whole of infinity, the whole of God, the whole of eternality is your consciousness. There's nothing else. Everything of infinity, everything of God, everything of good is your consciousness, because consciousness is indivisible. There is not God consciousness and your consciousness. Any consciousness is God consciousness, because there is none else. And so turn your awareness gently to the purity of your consciousness before the mind, before thought. There are no magic tricks, there are no little special techniques about doing this. Just bring your awareness, without understanding, without thought, to the place deep within you, and just begin to trust, begin to realize, without understanding. Understanding is never required, beyond realizing that the whole of God is embodied in and as me, my consciousness. The kingdom of God is within you, Jesus tells us, Buddha tells us. Within you. Well, what is within you? Consciousness. Consciousness has nothing to do with thought. Thought isn't consciousness. Consciousness isn't thought. In the same way, we can say the whole of light and heat is within the sun. And because that's true, there's nothing outside of the sun. All is within. Get a nice sense of this, a solid sense of this now. All is within. All. Take a thought about something or someone. And realize the fulfillment of that something or someone. What is it? It's life, happiness, freedom. Freedom, think about that. Freedom, the freedom of my love, the freedom of my friend, the freedom of my student. And then think how expansive that is. Think of the magnitude of what that means. The utter freedom of my love, my friend, my family, my student. My neighbour. The freedom of love as their experience. The freedom of health. The freedom of body. The freedom of family. The freedom of home. The freedom of neighbour. The freedom of place. The freedom of expression. Everything. Freedom goes into absolutely every nook and cranny of experience. The abundance of, or let's term it, the absolute sufficiency of all form. There's never a shortage and there is never too much. Because both a shortage and too much is a burden. We hear, thy grace is your sufficiency. But sufficiency, you see, is absolute fulfillment, not too little, not too much, as and at every moment of experience, every step, every hour, every day, every expression. Absolute satisfaction. So perhaps we each have a couple of examples, a friend or a love or a neighbour, a student, a family member, and some kind of form or many forms. So there we have the thought of the absolute freedom, fulfillment, satisfaction, love, life of those and that we've taken thought about. Now realize that fulfillment and infinitely more exists fully embodied where? Only within. And that fulfillment does exist fully embodied as your consciousness here and now. The whole of God, the whole of the miracle of truth exists fully embodied in and as your consciousness, nowhere else and nothing else. Now, and where is consciousness but within? The kingdom of God, the kingdom of consciousness is within. And so outside of you, there is no outside of you, but let's just have a sense of a physicality, just to make this clear. And then we'll make clear that there is no outside of you. But outside of within you, if God is fully embodied in and as your consciousness, then outside of that is nothing, is void. Because there's nothing but God, there's nothing but infinity, there's nothing but eternality, there's nothing but spirit. And so anything outside of you is void. There's nothing out there. Now, what have we been doing? Even after 5 years of this teaching and after so many more of so many other wonderful teachings, what have we been doing? What do we catch ourselves doing still? We look out, we think we see something that needs improving, healing, prospering, fixing, pacifying. And we try to bring truth to bear upon that he or she or it out there. And where do we look for that bearing? Where do we look for truth? Where do we judge whether truth has or hasn't arrived yet? Out there. Has my cut healed yet? Has my tumour gone yet? Have my dollars increased? Has my love arrived? Where's my home? Where's my car? Where's my friend? Where's my opportunity? All the time we still are looking out there. Okay, we know that as well from all these years of classes. So, get a really solid feeling, understanding, not a mind, not an intellectual understanding, but the feeling of the truth of the fact, the truth that, the only truth, which means the only anything and everything. God, the kingdom of consciousness, the miracle of life, the substance, the abundance, the form, the body, the breath, the fragrance, the everything, everywhere, the home, the family, everything, everywhere, without exception, is actually consciousness, and it is within you. And outside of that withinness is void. There's nothing there. Even though the mind wants to suggest there is, there's nothing there. In the same way, the sun can look out and realize outside of me there's no light and heat. There's nothing there but a void. All the light and heat there is within me. So get this physical sense at the moment. And it's pretty clunky, but just get that sense at the moment. We have to bring our awareness to withinness. And that has to be total now. We have to never again fall into the trap, or at least we have to, as quickly as we possibly can, every time we catch ourselves falling into the trap of looking out and then trying to bring truth to fulfill that out there somehow, we must catch ourselves and say, no, the whole of the kingdom of God, which means the whole of everything that ever did and ever is and ever will exist, infinitely, eternally, is fully embodied here and now within me. I must never seek out there again. I must never look out there for improvement. I must never make effort out there again. If we are now, each and every one of us, ready to actually live truth and witness the infinity, the true peace, the true life, the true body, the true satisfaction, the true abundance, the true opportunity, the true expression. If this is where we're at, and I'm assuming we are, we've all signed up, then let us understand exactly how we are to do this. Okay, so within. The whole is within, nowhere else. And that doesn't mean the truth is within, but the untruth is out there somewhere. All is within. Look out around the environment you're in at the moment. Look around and realize that what the mind is reporting to you this very moment, and everything about it, everything, is a misjudgment. It is not true in and as the way it appears to be true. So now fix your attention on something or someone and realize now that actually what you're looking at is your withinness. You're looking at your withinness. Wherever you look, there I am. Wherever you look, because God is within, and yet God is everything everywhere. Of course, God is infinite. You can't actually look outside of infinity, of course. You cannot actually look outside of God. There isn't actually a void. However, if we have a sense of inner versus outer, there's most definitely an emptiness of truth in what we sense as the outer. And so we must now understand the outer as void of all that substance of truth for the moment. But now, just look at your someone or your something and realize that what the mind is reporting of him or her or it is a complete and utter illusory sense. And yet, what she or he or it really is the fullness of withinness, because everywhere you look, you're looking at the very center of yourself, you're looking at the very withinness of yourself, you're looking at God, Spirit, Truth. And so now, withdraw the sense of what you're seeing or hearing or tasting or touching or smelling. Just withdraw it and realize that actually the fullness and the full embodiment of God is there. Being the very being, being the very thing, being the place, being the condition. But forget about those words in terms of the mind's understanding, but realize that wherever you are looking, whatever you're observing, actually is the fullness of God, fully embodied as what you are observing. Therefore, of freedom, here and now. Only God is, therefore, what the mind is reporting isn't. Only God is. Therefore, here and now what you're observing, your she or your he or your it, is the fullness of God as that which you're observing. In other words, that which you're observing is whole here and now, is free here and now, is satisfied here and now. But the mind will never report that, so don't look there. Are you getting that sense? Again, don't look for magic tricks, don't look for instant transformation of that which you're observing. Just realize that actually, whatever you're observing is the fullness of God. Therefore good, therefore free, therefore peace itself, life itself, love itself, freedom itself, fullness itself, infinity itself. Okay, within, within, within. What is the only way, if the fullness of infinity is within, that we are going to witness that fullness, witness truth? What is the only way the sun can witness light and heat? Putting it out there. In other words, putting it into experience. Remember, there's nothing out there now. There's void out there. And so the only way, if you are it, and you are, if the whole of God is fully embodied in and as your consciousness, here and now, and besides God there is none else, therefore outside of you, outside of that expression, that beingness, there's nothing, there's a void. Then the only way of seeing that which I am is to put it there where I'm observing. Otherwise I'm observing a void. You catch that? Imagine you're the sun and you want some light. Well, you have to put it there before you can observe it, experience it. I want some heat. It's a bit chilly in this void. All right, well, let me put it there, because there's no heat in any other place than I am, because I am that. We must take this literally. Can you imagine the sun not taking this literally, and therefore shivering in the cold and stumbling in the dark? It hasn't taken the fact that I am that literally. So it's not busy about putting itself out there as its experience. It's getting confused. It's looking out there, thinking there's something to get or gain or improve out there. And therefore it's still stumbling, it's still shivering. Because it is the only I am, the only truth, the only light and heat that it can experience as the magnitude of its experience, and the only way it can do that is to put it there. Then enjoy it. Share it, give it, which is what the sun does. Endless giving. In the more and more of the putting it there, it has more and more to give and share. The more it puts out, the more it witnesses. If it were to slow down its putting itself out there, then it itself would suffer. It itself would start shivering in the cold, stumbling in the dark. So right here and now we take literally that I am that. And besides me, which is within consciousness, there is none else. Therefore, I have to put I out there. I have to put truth out there. There's no one else or no thing else that's going to do it for me, because the whole is embodied in and as me. I am that. Now, let me read you a couple of lines from a book you might have heard of that actually in this light makes this very clear. So I'm reading the first couple of verses of Genesis in Lamsa's translation. Now listen, in the light that we've just heard, and of course the word God is being used, but you can use whatever word you wish. Spirit, consciousness, I, truth, presence, whatever you like. God created the heavens and the earth in the very beginning. Now, in the very beginning is simply within, the purity of consciousness. That's all. There's no beginning in reference to time. There's no time in God. Therefore, this reference has nothing to do with time. In the beginning means the purity, in the purity of consciousness before any experience occurs. That's always the beginning of every moment. The beginning of every moment is God. There's nothing but God. And yet we put God through the mind and mess it up. So in the beginning is every new moment. And every new moment there is the fullness of God. I've always said in relationship, it applies to everything of course, but every moment is new, is fresh. Literally every time you turn back to your love, she or he is brand new. Awareness of the fullness of love. Now, if we know that, we witness it and experience it. If we do not know that, then we'll come to the end of the honeymoon period and start suffering. But you see, the truth of it is that every fresh awareness of mine, of yours, is actually the fullness of God. And this is what the first verse says. God created, God is the heavens and the earth. All is one. God is the earth. Okay, well then what's wrong with the earth? Must be something to do with thought. And that thought, you see, is not an entity. It's not actual, capital A. It's not real, capital R. This earth is heaven. It's paradise. It's nirvana, as Buddha called it. Jesus called it paradise. Come with me this day to paradise. Well, paradise has to be finished if we're going to be taken to it this day. Otherwise, it's a very quick builder. It's the finished kingdom, finished paradise. Paradise, truth, spirit, God is the only presence, only form, only truth. And the only presence is this presence. If earth is a presence, then it's the only presence. If you are a presence, you're the only presence. If your body is a presence, your body is the only presence. If dollars are a presence, then they're the only presence, which means they're God. They're infinity itself. If your love is a presence, then your love is God. Your love is love itself. Why don't you take another look and see how much you love that love of yours? All right, second verse. And the earth was without form and void. What have we just heard? Now, the earth is the conceptual experience of the one presence. It's the conditioned or conceptual experience of the one presence. It's the way thought, or the mind, if you like, witnesses what actually is. Well, what actually is infinite and invisible to the mind, to the five senses. But that one infinite, invisible paradise of presence, of form, of body, of love, of everything, everywhere, amount, condition, place, home, family, witnessed through the mind is very similar, as we've heard, as the stained glass window witnesses the room as the sun pours through it. The sun is infinite and invisible. Light is invisible. Heat is invisible, we can say. And yet, as it pours through the conditioned window, the conceptual window, then it suddenly becomes, the one sun becomes different colours and different temperatures and forms and so on. And this is exactly what the mind does of God. It doesn't change God. It's still the same sun this side of the stained glass window as that side. The sun cannot be changed. Heat, light cannot be changed. God cannot be changed. God never is changed. God is always the same infinity and presence, omnipresence of the one substance, the one form. But as the mind witnesses it, it conditions it. I suppose it's like putting conditioner in our washing. It simply conditions it, that's all, but doesn't change it. It doesn't make it into a different entity. So the mind is witnessing the whole, seemingly to be finite now, seemingly to be separate, but no such separation, no such division, no such finiteness is occurring whatsoever. Okay, so here we have it again. Outside of withinness is void, it's nothing. And darkness was upon the face of the deep. Darkness is void, there's nothing upon the face of experience. Nothing there. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the water. Now that one line should be enough for us all to walk away in our freedom right now. Hear it again. The Spirit of God moved across the face of the water. Not the spirit of the mind. That's not going to do us any good. But the Spirit of God. When the Spirit of God, meaning the fullness of God, is allowed through the nothingizing of the mind, the non-judging, the taking away or withdrawing of opinion, idea, belief, effort from anything out there, so that now we have a pure avenue of awareness as our mind, then it is that the fullness of God is able to, in effect, pour through that now unconditioned mind and witness the fullness of all experience at any and every level of consciousness. And so right here where we are, we're being this level of consciousness that has what we call humanity. It has a mental mind, it has a physical body, it has matter, it has material experience. Well now, that material, that physical, that mental, in its purity, which means without thought, without the conditioning, without the belief, without the opinion, the judgment of the thought, is nothing but whole, perfect, joyous, free, here and now, abundant, here and now, fully satisfied at every step, here and now, without exception. Because we're now letting the Spirit of God move across the face of the water, fill the void that the mind is. The mind is nothing. The mind is a non-entity, and yet it reports a lie. It reports illusion. And so as we let God fill the face of the water, then there we have what we call healing. There we have what we call witnessed truth, witnessed miracle, witnessed fulfillment in what just a minute ago was a void. There was nothing out there. The sun, the Spirit of the sun fills the face of the water. The Spirit of the sun fills the universe. Do you see? There's nothing out there that can produce light and heat, but when we get rid of that which blocks the evidence of what really is, and we let the pure fullness, the pure truth itself be that movement, be that experience as us, then suddenly there it is. When we let the sun, or when the sun lets itself pour out, then there it is. The Spirit of the sun fills the universe. There's no other way to get light and heat. Do you see that? In other words, when I am that, which means I am not being a mental mind, I'm not trying to fix, I'm not trying to heal, I'm not trying to prosper, I'm not even trying to help the prospering and the healing and the fulfillment, but when I let God be God as me, which means I have rested the self, I have become silent of thought, of belief, of effort, of all effort, in the realization that the fullness of God is actually everywhere I look, as this very concept I'm observing. It can only be the fullness of God. If I'm observing anything at all, then it's God, because God's the only presence. You catch that? So and God is fulfilled, God is self-complete and all-inclusive. The whole of God exists at every point of your and my awareness. The whole. Nothing's incomplete. There's not half a cake. There's not even a 9/10 of a cake. There's only the full cake everywhere you look. But the mind won't report that. So get rid of the mind, empty the mind, nothingize the mind. Sit in stillness. Do it together with me now. Come within. Forget about the outside. God's got hold of it for you. Forget about it and come within. And in the realization that the whole of God fully embodied is this very withinness that you're now bringing your attention to, begin to relax, begin to rest, begin to trust God. We haven't trusted God. Trust that the whole of God is what you are. here within. So rest, relax, let go of your concerns, let go of your fears, let go of thinking you need anything other. No, you don't. Let go of your burdens, let go of your needs. You don't need what you think you do. You only need to come here within in the realization that the whole of infinity, self-complete, all-inclusive, fully embodied, is here and now your consciousness. That's what you need. Your own consciousness. Isn't it funny? We've thought we've needed something out there. All we've ever needed is our own consciousness. And now become beautifully silent. Just let silence be your silence. You don't have to get silent. Just rest and let silence itself be your experience of silence now. And begin to feel peace welling up within or glowing within. Or you may feel a deep relaxation welling up throughout your body experience, your consciousness. Maybe you'll feel it beyond the sense of body, filling your universe. It doesn't matter how you feel it. Now, this experience of peace being felt happening within, or freedom, or relaxedness, happiness, joy, a lack of burden, or burden dropping from your senses, any which way you feel good now, good happening within, is the Spirit of God moving throughout, filling your experience, moving across the face of the waters. You've now dropped all your effort and you've realized what Genesis 1 has been trying to say. It must be God filling the void. If the mind tries to fill the void, you get more dead leaves, dead branches, emptiness, nothingness. But when truth itself fills the void, which means the mind, when truth is felt flowing as you within, then there is the truth filling experience, pouring through the mind, if you like, revealing itself, filling the void. You're putting truth out there when you're feeling God happening within, peace happening within, spirit moving within. truth moving, light, warmth moving within, welling up, filling, permeating, saturating your senses. And God said, this is the third verse, God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. When you're feeling God filling the void, then your consciousness is illumined. Your consciousness is lifted. So that now in the greater light of consciousness you can see a greater degree of what actually is. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. But again, the crucial word is God said. The mind cannot do it. Thought cannot do it. Words cannot do it. God said, "Let there be light." Okay, so let God speak. Do you see? Let God be felt. Let Spirit be felt. And then know, as soon as you begin to feel Spirit, that it's got through. It's got through you. It's happening as you now. You've stilled the mind sufficiently that it's now pouring through. And actually the pouring through is instantaneity. It's spontaneous because it's omnipresence. And every place in omnipresence infinitely is spontaneously the same happening. And so there's no actual pouring through from here to there. It's there the moment you feel it. So now you have sufficiently stilled your senses so that you can feel what's actually happening as you, and bang, God is now your universe. God is your experience. And God saw that the light was good. Now, God is seeing itself now as you. God saw itself. God saw him herself. And him herself is good, nothing but. And God separated the light from the darkness. What do you think that means? Suddenly your experience is separated from limit, from struggle, from darkness, and is now the light of God happening, and therefore there is the good of God. You no longer have the experience of darkness. Perhaps Genesis 1 has not been explained like this before. You've heard in the 5 years of classes that Genesis 1 is all about you. How can it be about anything else when I am that? You are that. But we're hearing greater and clearer revelation of Genesis. Do you see, does it make sense? It's so clear, isn't it? All right, now, John, which is the most spiritual of the four Gospels. Listen to this. And when you hear the word, then realize it means the same thing. It's God. It's the presence of God, the Spirit, the truth. That's all. The word. It's not a literal word. The Word was in the beginning. Same thing as Genesis 1. In the beginning of every moment, there is the fullness of God before it gets churned up and distorted in the mind. As an experience, not an entity ever, but as an experience. The Word was in the beginning, and that very Word was with God. We can lose the with. Was God, is God. That very Word, that presence is God. It is the fullness of your entire experience, already manifest, already embodied for you to enjoy. And God was that Word. That feeling, that presence you feel is God, being felt through the senses as you. As itself, as you. The same was in the beginning with God. Forever, eternally, always, God is the beginning of every moment. Every new expression, every new step, every new awareness, every new utterance, every new anything, everywhere is God. There's nothing else. But remember, we're experiencing God through the mind, the conditioned mind, and that's why it doesn't appear to be God, but it is, always and without exception. And so now, as we make ourselves the beginning of awareness, and we realize what John is speaking of here, in the beginning was the Word, and that Word was with God, that Word is God. The same was in the beginning with God. There's nothing but God. So make our beginning moment, every moment, the recognition or the pulling back here of awareness to within and remembering, this next step I'm going to take, this next word I'm going to say, this next expression, this next moment with my love, my family, my neighbours, whatever it is I'm doing as my next moment, is actually nothing but and the fullness of God in all its purity, in all its embodiment, here and now. So you see, we have to be the beginning of awareness, the purity of awareness. Everything came to be by His hand. And without Him, not even one thing that was created came to be. In other words, again, think of the sun saying the same thing about itself. Without me, there is no light and there is no heat. All light that is created, which really means formed, all light that I'm experiencing as form, as a presence, as a sense, all heat that is experienced comes only into and as experienced by me. Not by the mind of me, the thought of me, but by me, capital M. Nothing that is made, nothing of experience is experience except by God. And that's the same as we've heard earlier. Everything actually is God. Saying the same thing. But you see, if we believe what the mind interprets of God, then we don't see the truth of that thing, or that him, or that her. But if we go back to the beginning and remember, in the beginning was God. So in the beginning I must be that awareness. The whole is within me. Let me remember that, and then step forward. And then let it itself be that step. It itself be that experience. Let the light of God shine forth. Let the presence of God be felt, which is the light of consciousness, the illumined consciousness, which is then able to see truth. The life was in Him, and the life is the light of men. It's the same light. That's the same as saying the whole of God is fully embodied in and as your consciousness. The light is in Him, and the light is the light of men. And the same light shines in darkness, and the darkness does not overcome it. The mind has no power. Anything out there that we're observing has, of its own self, no power, no presence, no entity, no life, no nothing, no anything. It is dead of its own self. But let the I of you, in your stillness, in your silence, be felt happening and fill that void out there, be your experience. Then, as we make this our way of life, our consciousness is the light, is illumined, and there is the fullness of all experience, self-complete and all-inclusive. And that's just the first 3 verses of Genesis and the first 4 of John. We really didn't need any more than that. All right, so I can't believe it's already 8:05. So we're going to stop there. But look, every one of these has to be completely practical. And so this week, let us all, first of all, listen to this as many times as it takes to let it sink deeply into consciousness. And second of all, be it. Right from the start, let us now be it. And the being of it consists of 2 things, really. Apart from knowing that the whole of God is fully embodied in and as your consciousness. We know that now. We don't have to do any more with the mind to understand that. Don't just forget the mind now. Stop repeating truth statements. Get right here, know that truth, and then get on with being it. So the being it is at every step, every moment, or as many times as you remember, but that'll become every moment, I can assure you. You can't ever forget the fact when you start experiencing more and more of the fullness. Every moment, I am actually the fullness of God. So every step I take, let me first remember, before that step, that in the beginning, there is God. There is the fullness of truth filling my entire experience, being the entirety of my experience. So there it is, every beginning moment. That's what we remember. And secondly, as many times as we can throughout the day and evening, get still and remember the key, which is that God, the Spirit of God, moves over the face of the water and reveals the truth. Not the mind, not the repetition of truth statements, not the hearing and the hearing over again classes, but God. And so knowing that your entire experience is void of truth, unless God reveals that truth of itself, unless God moves over the face of the waters, we get still as many times throughout the day and night as we can. Come within, just as we've done this hour. Come within. Be patient with yourself. Keep realizing that the whole of God, the whole of the fully manifest kingdom of truth, as all of experience, sits here within my consciousness fully embodied, only needing to find a way out so that it can be witnessed. And that way out is not yours or the mind's, but it's God's. God is the only way because God is the only, period. So we must experience that only happening within. Otherwise, actually, despite our efforts or desires, nothing's happening. So get still, be patient with yourself, remind yourself of the truth we've heard today, and then begin to feel. You begin to feel a peace happening, a stillness happening, a relaxation happening, and then you are able to let silence live itself as you. Remember, you can't do it, you can't be silent. The human sense can never be silent. It's a chatterbox. So let it chatter, doesn't matter. Silence. Remember what we just heard in John. The darkness has no power over the light. And the darkness includes thought, the mind, the chatterbox, the personal self. It's all the darkness and it has no power. It's no entity. It has no power whatsoever. So you let it do what it wants to do, but you get still. You be patient with you. You allow yourself to rest and relax, my friends, and begin to feel peaceful, begin to feel calm, begin to feel spacious. And then you'll feel the silence living itself as you. You'll feel a beautiful, deep peace welling up, permeating your senses, your body. And immediately you begin to feel this, realize, there it is. It's pouring out of me. It's pouring into the void as the utter fulfillment of heaven as my very here and now experience of all being, body, form, family, home, place, condition, opportunity, expression. The mind doesn't understand it. It'll look out there and say, well, no, God's not really happening. Ignore the mind. The mind doesn't ever know what it's talking about. Trust truth alone. So you realize, you relax even more now, as you realize that now that I feel something happen, even if to your senses it's a minor thing happening, it doesn't make any difference. Anything good happening within is it. And so you can relax even more, and then the sense of that happening becomes greater and greater. But it doesn't matter. It's happening, and it's fully happened the moment you feel the feeling. And that is God-filling experience, being the light which illumines consciousness and is witnessed as very good. God saw the light and saw that it was very good. All right, let's have a couple of minutes together now that we know what we're doing this week.
I hope you enjoy this spiritual audio. Like, share and subscribe for more.